Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the end of the conference center. As Mark said, I'm from BP. I'm actually from BP in London, and I've got two of our colleagues, Neil and Nikki, who will introduce shortly. We're going to take you through one of our journeys in Power BI and PowerApps and SharePoint and Flow, although probably not too much on Flow. Picture on there is a North Sea oil installation not far from where Neil lives. We're going to very quickly go through a quick BP overview, run through our roles, what was our BI challenge, what was our BI solution, a quick demo, and then we're going to go into a bit more detail on some of the challenges that we faced, and then we'll finish off with some key factors in the adoption that we went through. Come on in, everybody. There's plenty of seats on the left-hand side, so just come around, jump through the front, we'll be fine. So, quick introduction to BP. BP is one of the world's leading energy businesses. We have operations in about 73 countries, and we've got about 78,000 people worldwide. The world is demanding more energy, and that, one of the challenges that we've got is doing that in a better way, doing it in a lower carbon way as well. So this is like a dual challenge that we're working on at the moment, and this is our strategy to address that. So we talk about growing advantaged oil, growing gas, some more the upstream business, market-led growth in the downstream. So people are probably used to retail stores and the air business, the petrochems and the refineries. Interesting one, the bottom left, venturing and low carbon. So we've got a big part of the business in low carbon. But we're here to talk about the fourth element, bottom right, managing and modernizing the whole group. And that's what this team is doing. And we're starting to see real bottom line performance improvements as a result of the modernization that's going on. And we're also trying to make it feel different. I actually think standing here is a perfect example of how it feels different. I work in finance for BP in London. And I'm standing here at a Microsoft conference in Atlanta. 18 months ago, I hadn't even heard of Power BI. And we've now put Power BI across the organization, PowerApps, SharePoint, and actually no one told us to go and do it. So this is something where we've seen opportunities. And this is the bit that I'm really proud of and really pleased about. And the things that we now have is we've got Power BI solutions with an analyst in Australia and the chief exec, all using the same report all the way through with row-level security. We've got digital dashboards on our executives' walls with Surface Hubs. We've also got phone apps as well. But we're here today to talk about a Power BI and PowerApps solution. And I'm not IT, and neither are Neil and Nikki. So I'm going to hand over to Neil and Nikki now so that they can tell you a little bit about themselves.
Hello. Okay, there it goes. Hi, I'm Nikki. I live in Houston, Texas. I've been with BP for about 10 years now, supporting only finance. No IT background, as Tim mentioned. I've been on this Power BI, Power Platform journey for about a year. Never heard about it previous to that. So most of my training has been all on-the-job requests, demands, and hundreds of hours of research, bloggings, Googlings, and YouTube. So over to my colleague.
Hi, everybody. Hi, my name is Neil McLeod. I am from Aberdeen in Scotland, so way up in northeast. As you see in the little green tick here, I managed to just fit it in the screen. So I've been with BP for 11 years, working in finance, and like Nikki and Tim, don't have an IT background. I'm working in finance. I'm a chartered accountant, so I don't know why I'm here. I don't know how I've managed to get to the stage now where I'm building PowerApps. That's what I do. But actually, the reason is because of Tim. So the team that I was in, we had a really terrible solution that was quite clunky, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. And Tim asked me to come in and try and help solve it, and that's what got us into PowerApps. And Tim showed me PowerApps in about half an hour, and then within about 4 days, we had a proof of concept for this, and that's what we're going to show you today. So what was our BI challenge? So all this is about variance commentary, okay? So what do we mean by variance commentary? Well, it's taking your budget number of X and your actuals number of Y and saying, why has this changed? Okay, the company needs to know why it's changed. Your CFO needs to know why it's changed, and this is what this is all about. And we need to capture the why, because When it comes to Power BI and visualization of your data, it can help you find what, where, when, by how much, but not necessarily why in a succinct and written way, like what a human would write, okay? So that's what we tried to do. But we also need to build a user-friendly solution, put it into a central repository to store that commentary so then other people could use it, but also make sure that that whole data set is secure, right? Because it's potentially confidential information there, right?
So like many companies, we use SAP as our system of record. So to get the data out of SAP into Power BI, we use SAP HANA as our semantic reporting layer to ingest that over. Once we get the data into Power BI, we then need to do, it's never fit for purpose, of course, so we have a bit of wrangling data enrichment we need to do. And unfortunately, because we are not IT, we do not have any access to the underlying SAP tables, so all this has to occur in the query editor. So after I do, we'll take a look at that here in just a bit, but after I kind of do a little bit wrangling, structuring of the data, apply some role-level security, I then take that ball in Houston and chuck it over the ocean to Neil in Aberdeen.
Yeah, so I take that ball, and what I do with the Power BI report is I add the PowerApps custom visual into the Power BI report, share Nikki's data set with it, and from doing that, it creates this thing called Power BI integration, okay? And we use Power BI integration.data as our main data set in our Power App. So we go into the Power App Studio, build the Power App, then pull all this information that Nikki's kindly provided me in a perfect format in a little gallery view. And then what's left for me to do is just add some input text boxes to capture that why, our variance commentary, remember? And then we then need to find a home for it. And our home was SharePoint. So we send the data to SharePoint. And you'll see how on here we've got a double-headed arrow. And that's because we're also using SharePoint to enrich our Power App. We've got lists, other lists in SharePoint, which are going to help make that Power App even more powerful and give a much better user experience. So that's what we've done.
And then finally, to bring it all together, we need to ingest that data from SharePoint back into Power BI and combine it with SAP HANA data. So let's take a look at just a quick intro to our solution.
Well, this is the final product. So when you see on your left here is what the Power App custom visual looks like in the Power BI report.
And on the right is the output tab. So we had to create a very easy to use, easy to navigate, simple report that combines both the SAP data on one side and the SharePoint data on the other side. So we're going to walk you through a quick demo.
And I just want to make one extra point here. What you're seeing at the moment is a Power App on one page and a Power BI slide on the other. We have a number of products where they're on the same page, and you can bring them on, you can have them on the same page, you can have them on pull-out panes. But I just want to make one emphasis here. That was all built by Neil and Nikki, they'd never met physically. Neil was in the North Sea in Aberdeen, and Nikki was in Houston. And they did all of this just leveraging the infrastructure and talking to each other. They actually hadn't met until about a month after we deployed. So we're going to the demo.
So while we're setting up the demo, I guess just some key tips that we'll kind of show you through this is how we kind of communicated some stuff to end users, a bit of an input tab, and as well as the output tab.
Duplicate.
So here is kind of our instructions page. We do have instructions in numerous other formats and places and an extensive SharePoint site. But we do find users kind of navigate to the Power BI not always having read it or needed reminding of what they're doing. So this is just a quick, re-emphasizing key points, key requirements that they need to do. And it always opens here, so they at least have to click off of it. We also have a nice little last refresh stamp, so the end user will always know the last time the data, SAP HANA data, refreshed on the gateway, so they can stay up to date with that. Let's have a look at the input.
Yeah, so we're clicking now onto our input tab. And you see how it's now loading our custom visual, our Power App, and get full screen view. And oh, look at this. We're sorry, we're closed. The shutters are down. Okay, we're closed for this quarter, right? So their submission that we did for this quarter for variance commentary is done and dusted. And this is we think, is a great example of what you can do with Power Apps. Is if you want it to be closed, then it can be closed, right? They can't go anywhere from here, right? But luckily, we've got a little Easter egg that we're going to click into to get us to the view in which we would normally see to say, come in, we're open. And we click on here, and they even get a little bell to tell them it's like we've opened a door. And now we're in our gallery view, okay? And what we're seeing on the screen here is we unfortunately can't show you BP data, so we've shown you Marvel Universe data, okay? So we're looking at the region Avengers. We've got 2 countries here. We've got Asgard and we've got Wakanda. So we're going to go into Wakanda and show you the Wakanda data. And then we've got a whole bunch of financial measures here and variances. So these are the variances, remember, that Nikki has calculated in Power BI. Okay, these are the real numbers, the real variances. And we're going to click on this one that's on DD&A line, okay, because it's a special one that's good to show. So they get a reminder at the top here of what item they're in, and then go to put in a headline comment. So Tim's going to start doing that for us as we speak. So we've got a headline comment here, so there's lots of stuff going on to explain this 28 million. And then we've got these subcategories, right? Now, as part of our statement of requirements, we got told, well, look, we need some more information. Just having a big, long comment that's got thousands of characters, and then we times that by hundreds of people doing this, and to roll all that up is really hard, right? So it's a breakdown into subcategories. So we force the user to give us that split of that 28 million into those different buckets, right, or subcategories.
Because you don't budget at that level of detail, so they have to provide you some insight.
Exactly.
Taking my thunder.
That's Nick his line. It's okay, it's okay. So,
sorry, I'll be quiet now. I'll go sit down.
But what's cool is that that bottom number, right, is a balancing number, right? So they can never make a mistake, okay? It's on-the-fly calculation just to work out what the number should be. So when Tim updates that, you see how that updates accordingly. So they always make sure when they submit, they're always going to match out what they're being asked to do.
I love how every time you put a number, it gets, it calculates the green automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as I said, that this is where Nikki can the subcategories.
These subcategories don't exist in our underlying data set. So this is a unique, thing that PowerApps brings to us, is we can force users to help explain that why through these buckets consistently across the organization.
Yeah.
And it helps Tim, who doesn't type very well with some of the, right? It auto-corrects, no.
But you may well ask, how does Tim, in this example, know what to write? Okay, because he's got no support here. Now, I've been an analyst in finance, and when it was my responsibility to do things like this, I felt that it was my responsibility to know and deeply understand the asset that I was looking after and be able to write that commentary. Now, in a really granular kind of way.
Yeah, but it's not always that easy. So we do have a suite of other reports that our team has put together to help users drill down into data and slice and dice the views, just get to understand better lining of the details, besides a sticky note.
Yeah, cool, thanks. So Tim's going to hit save now, and we'll see a little pop-up that comes up here, and say data's been saved successfully,
nice.
And we're going to hit back. And then Tim's going to do a little refresh, and while he does that, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the fact that when you go back into this item, right, it hasn't just lost that comment, it has saved it to SharePoint, right? This is real, this is live, right? So we'll see if it does work. And you'll see that at the bottom, that before was blank. So that modified by, right? That's just us stealing a bit of metadata from SharePoint and just using that out-of-the-box functionality that you can do just to, again, enrich your PowerApps. So give the user more information about who it was that actually input this, right? And when they did it. And we found that really, really powerful.
It's amazing.
So we'll jump to the output report. So we kind of looked at this a bit earlier, but here we have, on the left, we have the SAP HANA data, and on the right, we have the SharePoint data, side by side in one easy view. And there's our comment.
It works.
It works.
And I would like to just emphasize, so this is very simplistic in terms of the look and the feel. We have these set up where you can click on one side and it filters the data on the other side, and it will all interact. It's all sitting in the same data model. And it all respects row level security as well.
Perfect. So we'll jump back to the presentation. So we wanted to give you a bit more information, a little more detail, a look under the hood. So we're going to kind of quickly talk on the Power Query, what I did in there, SharePoint, some tips and tricks Neil has learned along the way, as well as a really cool function in PowerApps that a patch for save. So in the query editor, what I mentioned earlier, we do all of our wrangling, enrichment, organization. The hardest part is trying to figure out what to do in the query editor. It took a few times. But first and foremost, I need to filter out all that other stuff I don't need. A bunch of data comes in, I only need a portion of it, so debloat the report. One of my struggles was the data we're pushing back into SharePoint only was that delta. It was just the variance events from the current period to your previous period, while in SAP, it was just the current period and the previous period. So I didn't have that in my underlining data set. So to create that, I did a bit of a dance in the query editor. On the time series, I pivoted it, so it was in all individual columns. I then created my own variance delta event in a separate column, and then I unpivoted back, so it was all in nice, uniform, one single column. Doing this created that delta event in my underlining data. So then I was able to actually marry up my data between SharePoint and SAP HANA. And this unique identifier that I created that included that delta variance then included, it was really just a long concatenation of all our key data attributes that we needed to end users to select and filter and then reshare. So this unique identifier was kind of the glue that I was able to use to pass this data between the different applications.
Yeah, and that's how you manage to see it in that output report.
Together, yes.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of things I want to talk to you about SharePoint and PowerApps and their connections. I mentioned before about enriching your Power App with SharePoint lists. Now, one of the things that we did was we included like a submission management list, because obviously we don't own these processes. We hand them back, right, eventually. And these guys can go into a SharePoint list and actually update one cell on a SharePoint list and say, we're locked, right? So one queue is locked. Then that changes the Power App visual for the user when they come in to say the shutters are down, right? It's really that easy. Right? And that's really powerful because in past, maybe if you do emails for commentary, how do you tell a user, actually, that email you sent me with your commentary, you're a week late, right? And we've already done the roll-up and everything. You can't tell them to not send you an email. But when the shutters are down, then there's nothing they can do, and that's really powerful. So then we've got the second, third points, we've got a couple of slides on we're going to show you. So first about lock down your SharePoint list, right? So we've got row-level security and all of this, but obviously it's difficult in SharePoint lists. Our users need to be given contribute permission levels in SharePoint because they're saving data there, okay? And obviously that whole SharePoint list is shared with them. So if they did manage to navigate to SharePoint.com and then have a look at some SharePoint stuff that they've got access to, even though we don't share the ultimate URL with them, they could navigate to it, and that's a risk. And so what we did was we created our own custom permission level in SharePoint, which we've called contribute without editing views, right? And this, what's different about it, is a duplicate of contribute, but with one key element removed, and that is this one called manage personal views, okay? Now manage personal views, that allows that user to create their own views, change the views that are there, and all that kind of stuff. With that removed, this is what the user then sees, that bottom right box, okay? So the all items view that you go into by default, they can't change, right? And that makes a massive difference to us because we can then just filter on one row on the SharePoint list that says, you should not be here, go and look at the Power App to do your inputs, right? And then that's all they can do, right? And so it's locked down. And then for us as the kind of admins on this, if we need to do some, sorry, go back, thanks. the admins on this, what you can do is you've got your you've got manage personal views enabled, so you can create your own personal views if you need to go and manage that list out with your end users, okay? And then PowerApps, I really want to talk to you about PowerApps because I love PowerApps. So I want to talk about patch versus save. So when we were doing that submission earlier, that was a submit, it was a new record, okay? It didn't exist. So what do we do when users have already written their comment and they need to update it? Because for a lot of times, this is an iterative process for users, okay? They'll go in, they'll do a little bit, they'll come back, do some more, and maybe another user does a bit for them. Sometimes there's a whole kind of array of people that are responsible for a certain comment. So what we did was within the Power App, we've got some hidden elements which go and look and find whether this item has got an ID on SharePoint. And if it does, then it'll say patch. If it doesn't, then it says submit. Then we use that to drive some save buttons. Okay, so we've got a couple of save buttons that are over top of one another, and the visibility property on them is attached to those texts. And then obviously the one that's for submission is just a save to SharePoint. Another one is a patch that goes and updates that actual record because it knows the ID. It goes and updates that one. Pretty cool.
All right, so kind of to wrap it up. Key factors in driving adaptation, because this was a completely new solution for our organization. Very different. There's no really Excel, and we're so used to Excel in finance. So to really make this successful, we use Teams only. No emails were sent internally and with the broader organization. This allowed other people to come back to us with questions, bugs, anything they could think of. And then our responses were there for everyone to see, and people could learn from others. So this is very, very helpful. We also were able to apply really quick responses. With Neil in Aberdeen and myself in Houston and Tim in London, the three of us really managed this for about 500 users across 16 different time zones. And we were able to provide quick responses almost 24 hours a day during our core peak cycles, which is about 2 weeks, I think. So it was really successful with that. With this new solution, we also removed some previous limitations that end users were really not happy about. One of the big ones was character limitations. So now they can write as much as they want versus a restriction. The other was only one person could be in the previous tool at a time. And in regions or in our countries, we'd have multiple finance analysts trying to submit data. And so this was a big hindrance or it fell to one person's shoulder. So that wasn't very fair to them. So multiple people can be in the tool at the same time whenever they needed to be and on their phone as well. The other thing was when they had to download an Excel template and then re-enter their comments and re-upload that Excel template. It took a lot of time, some of our more remote areas. And unfortunately, that template didn't always save. So they lost a lot of trust in that process. With this new solution, they could see almost instant gratification. Oh, they saved it. They have that save popped up button. They can go back into the tool. And as soon as that gateway refreshed, they would see that in the output report.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to add to that, is also the data that's sitting in there is constantly refreshing as well. So every 30 minutes, this is going through and refreshing.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. And then we also had one SharePoint instructions page. So we, instead of sending emails, we put everything on a SharePoint, and then it allows us to, at any time, go and update those instructions if something changes. We gave them loads of how-to videos on how to use a new tool, and we had FAQs on there eventually. So once we got all that feedback, we kind of gathered it together and wrote FAQs. We had troubleshooting on there. It was a one-stop shop for everything to do with this tool, right? And people really liked it. Continuous improvement. So Nikki mentioned about the fact that we listened to people's feedback. If there was stuff that we could do really quickly, then we just did it. And you'll hear, we've heard a lot so far this week about the beauty of PowerApps and how you can make changes really quickly. You don't have to go and speak to your IT department and have 6 months to wait until something changes. You can just do it, right? And that's what we did. And that's been great. And it really gives a lot of kudos with our end users. And the last thing I want to speak about is about substance, performance, professional. So substance for me is about the data. The data has to be right, because if you don't get the data right, your end users will switch off, they get annoyed, and they start crying, right? And you don't want that. And then performance, we found a huge improvement in the performance. And we mentioned about remote areas that we've got people in, and this Power BI solution has improved the performance. No end of help. It's been fantastic. And then the last thing, professional, it needs to look good, right? You have to make it look professional. It has to be, I would like to use the word pretty, but it has to, because otherwise if it looks sloppy, right, then your users again will switch off, okay? So you have to get your substance right, but there's absolutely a lot to be said for making things look good as well.
So maybe while we transition, if there is a question, we can bring our next presenters and we can take 1 or 2 questions in that process. You want to move a little bit?
Sure.
And then there's a question at the end, and so if you can repeat the question when you get it.
Yep.
So with the PowerApps, I'm curious, when your users are creating records in PowerApps through SharePoint, I noticed that they have create permissions and they can edit. We're looking
Are you presenting as well?
Yeah.
Are you doing
They can, well, contribute gives you create and edit.
You want to start here?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, and they do. They always do.
Presentation.
Great question, thank you.
What was the link that was in the team that you clicked on? Was that a PowerApps integration? But that's not really BI itself.
So sorry, do you want to, well, the question was first.
So then clicking on the input tab, what?
Like you clicked on the number and the comment thing came up, right? Where you put the comments, breakdown of like.
Yeah, so we've got some funky switches and stuff to know where you are in the gallery. So Nikki kindly, when she gave me that data set, gave me it in measures. So I've got basically 4 columns of data. So I need to work out which row you're on, and so you know when you jump to that form, what number to show up. But if you want to chat later, I can show you behind the hood of that. But yeah, it's.
Yeah, question?
You guys talked about adoption, how you leverage teams. How did you train your users? I imagine it was a very big change for them to use this new tool. How did you go about training them how to input all the comments and do that?
There were a lot of videos done. There was a lot of engagement before that. Instructions, just repetitive. And being very proactive on the team site for anybody that posted questions. We wanted to have instant, making sure that they weren't left alone and constant responding to them very quickly, I think would be a big key.
Well, it's also part of their job, right? So we gave them completion status reports as well on this stuff to say, look, this is how much has been done and stuff as well. But it was funny listening to one of the customer stories yesterday on PowerApps, and they said that part of their implementation was the reason they got adoption was because people had to do it. It was their job. And so that was definitely part of it, but you can never get 100% on this stuff.
Yeah. So we'll do 1 or 2 more questions, and then we have to go ahead in the back.
Was it difficult to get senior management to buy in?
For this? No. Because it was better, quicker, cost them no money, and we just did it.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
I promise you.
to start with, it was, there was a problem. People said, could we do this? And we made judgment. We didn't know we could do this when we were asked to do it the first time. But my judgment was that, yes, we could. And these are the two people that did it. And we delivered it. And then even the most skeptical person at the end of it turned around and said, that's really good. And it just addressed all the problem points that we had.
You have to go on your left. There's a question. There's a very patient person there. Go ahead.
So I don't have a lot of experience in PowerApps or Power BI for that matter. If I go back to CFO, BP, implemented this, great. What's it going to take? What would be your answer to that?
What is it going to take
What's
to
it going
improve?
to take? Like, how much is it going to cost? What kind of
Oof.
So this cost us nothing beyond our license fee. Sorry, again, Nikki.
Yeah, base our license, but otherwise it was just time. So Neil and I probably built the first very basic, so there's been continuation of improvements on this, but the very first one Neil and I probably built in 4 or 5 days.
Oh,
but then the change management?
of course.
It's been evolving. We've probably been doing this now for 8 months, so it's over time.
So I have to switch. You guys can stay after. Thank you. And we're going to transition the microphones. They'll be here, so and they can interact with you. We're going to, I cleaned up a little bit. You have your phone. So we're going to talk to a great company, Cummins, and where they're getting set up. A big debate is the switch. You have the microphones already? Oh, no. So there you go. Sorry. Oh, I'll turn it on for you. And there's a big, you've seen this theme across the different presentation between centralized and self-service BI. And Cummins is going to share that journey as well.
We're all actually going to be speaking. Because we're all going to introduce ourselves.
There we go. So they can start reading your amazing profile while you're getting ready. So when you speak, they'll already read. They won't read. Maybe you can.
And we are from IT, so don't hold that against us, everyone.
So maybe while they're getting set up, Sherry, you want to introduce yourself since you have a microphone?
Yes. My name is Sherry Jarrett. I lead the BI services for Cummins. I've been, the BI services, as you can see, it does encompass the big data space, your data lakes and whatnot. Data warehousing, data marts, also the reporting and analytical tools. And I've been with Cummins for 19 years, and I'm about to give away my age a little bit. I've been in IT for a little over 25 years.
Thank you. Yeah, are you mic'd up, Shakir? You want to go next?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
hello.
you are.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shakir Sayed. I lead the Enterprise BI reporting services. Close to 20 years of experience, out of which 17 years is only BI. Been with Cummins for 6 years, so this November, it'll be my 6th birthday at Cummins. Yeah, I mean, totally for BI reporting, so we have MSBI stack, the whole of the MSBI stack that we have, and we have a pretty big presence of Power BI. So we are on the journey on moving to Power BI to be made as a enterprise reporting tool.
And we have Khushbu.
My name is Khushbu. I am IT technical analyst, and I help IT and non-IT users with building their BI applications or BI solutions, so end-to-end BI solutions using SQL, BI, Power BI, and SharePoint. I have an overall work experience of 10 years, 5 years of which is in BI, and I love what I do.
Yeah, Shakir, you should smile because the other two are happy. You
Yes, now
now smile. I just noticed it.
I kept my smile for the
Oh,
room
you're
here.
smiling
yeah.
on stage. You saved it. Okay. So we heard a little bit about Cummins, Matt. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of Cummins?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Cummins is a Fortune 500 company. It has over 20 billion in revenue. Actually this year marks our 100-year anniversary.
Wow.
So, whew.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you. And we do have close to 60,000 employees worldwide. These span across 5 different business segments. Our engine business, which we're more known for, I guess, is our oldest unit, and our newest is the power electrification power business segment. Couple things that our markets include trucking, certainly, mining, agriculture, and maybe potentially even some of the vehicles you guys drive has Cummins in there. I've been with Cummins 19 years, and one of the interesting facts I just recently learned was our CEO, Tom Linebarger, started in 1991 as an intern. And look where he is now.
I know. It's amazing.
Goes to show you, yeah.
Um,
I know.
Couple things that really struck me when I went to go work for Cummins 19 years ago. It annually, every year, gets top recognized as a top company for diversity. They really do embrace people's differences, and that really does add to that culture within Cummins. Additionally, Cummins always focuses on that green footprint, whether it's reducing waste or carbon footprint, or now as we're going into our latest area with the electrification with 0 emissions. So,
And you had something. You had the first truck or something?
yes.
You're proud of that. I mean, you should
I
say
am
it.
proud of it. Almost forgot. Thank you. We actually were the first company to release a fully electric semi-truck.
It's not Tesla.
We beat Tesla.
Exactly.
No, we beat Tesla.
Everybody thinks it's Tesla, but including me. Okay,
I think
so
we beat them by a week. Was
We
that?
did, yeah.
well, you still beat them. It doesn't
We
matter.
still beat them. It doesn't matter.
So you came up with a very interesting slide to talk about the BI journey. I really like the balance between IT and the business. Can you go over that a little bit?
Yeah, and I think as our co-conspirators previously mentioned, they didn't have to wait on IT. But prior to 2013, 2014, in Cummins, everyone did have to wait on IT to deliver simple reports. Sometimes it was days, sometimes it was weeks, just depending on the demand we had. So, if you think about having a soda pop can and you shake it up and that pressure builds, when you pop it, it really explodes. That's kind of what happened when we introduced self-service in Cummins late 2013, early 2014. It grew like wildfire. People were excited, and we did have self-service tools previously in the earlier years, but they were really clunky. You really had to be a little bit more on the technical side to know how to use them, to know, get decent performance. But now when we introduced a self-service in late 2013, it was easier to use. And then when we introduced Power BI, a couple years later, that really made a game changer. So when we looked at the earlier years, really heavy IT focus. Then in those mid-years that we went through, it really kind of almost flipped the switch. Heavy business self-service. Unfortunately, that was really largely ungoverned. Our IT costs for the infrastructure started going up through the roof. We had really little controls around where our data was, whether it was secure or not. We didn't know what people were doing with it, didn't know who had access to it. And so we were like, okay, wait a minute, we've got to take a step back here. Really needed to find some kind of balance. And so where we were now in 2017, we kind of did a BI strategy refresh where we really wanted to find that right balance of controls, governance, but I stress the emphasis on right-sized because you don't want to kill the spirit of self-service at the same time. So what is that right balance? I think we're getting close to that, keeping our data safe and secure, but also allowing people to create reports, get to the data they are authorized to get to, they need to get to do the work that they do. That's kind of what we need.
Yeah, and I think in talking, preparing, we thought the best way was to show a little bit of the rigorous self-service approval process to highlight how you found that balance, right?
Yeah, so basically like Sherry said, thanks Mark. So like Sherry mentioned, right, we went into this BI journey, and through that journey, once we introduced the self-service and the tools that we gave to the users, it went like crazy, but then we went too much ungoverned. And then, people were doing everything pretty much, but then the business themselves, they came back to us saying, we need some control, because definitely they want the self-service to be there, but then they want the people to also have some control, and they want to have control on the reports, control on the data that is being shared and published. So we created this heavy approval process together with our business counterparts. So we created some 28 functions. So we have 5 business units now within which we created 28 functional groups. And within those functional groups, we manage this process. So once a user comes to us with a request of creating a report, maybe a full-blown project, so anything that comes to us, they go through this process. First of all, we ask them to get approvals from the right stakeholders. So it could be the IT owners, could be the business owners, could be the functional owners. So if they say no to it, then the process stops there itself. If they approve of that project, could be a report, then we go further, and then the next step is for them to fill out a form. So that intake form basically is the place where we get all the information from the customers. So they have to provide us the information of where the data is. If they don't know it, we have a process to find their data also. So we give them access, we provide them information, we collect every single information, and throughout this process, we also assign one technical analyst to the business. So if they have any technical questions, we can help them throughout the process. So once that form is filled out, then we go into the solution governance. So in the solution governance, we basically we sit with the users. So we have this process where we call ourselves player coaches. So we coach them, and sometimes we even play the role of a player. So we teach them throughout the process by sitting beside them, don't do anything, but then make them do it. So that's the solution governance. Through that process also, we try and understand what is the right tool that the users should use. And if it happens to be Power BI, then we go through the process. And here you can see we have a training also within our team. So Could be multiple ways the trainings are, web-based training or the instructor-led training. During that time is when there is like a hold to the process because we want the users to be properly trained. Once they are trained, then the next step is for them to get the right accesses. So for them to get access, what we have in our process is we've created, we call it environment, which is a self-service BI environment. So that environment includes everything. So could be a SQL server access, could be a SharePoint access, could be a Power BI workspace access, could be licenses also. So anything that is required, it is clubbed together with an environment. So we give them a name of that environment, and it's an automated process. Through that form itself, once they click on the submit button, there is a remedy ticket which gets then generated to the respective IT teams, and they then create the process of giving people access. Once everything is done, they work with the player coaches, the solution is built, then is when we do a review process. So they come back to us, we do a review before they go live. Before they go live, they can do anything, for example, in Power BI Desktop. They can even publish it to the Power BI, their own My Workspace, which is their personal playground. Once that is all done and they're ready to go live, we review, and if everything is fine, we do a value capture. After the value capture also, we have the governance process here, where Khushbu is going to talk more about how we give the business users the ability to monitor and check their own infrastructure.
So you have, and quickly, so we have time for a demo. You've built a lot of other process for self-service, data lake injection, traditional, and that's how you find the balance.
That's
yes,
correct.
You want to do self-service, that's fine, but you just don't wake up.
That's correct. So apart from the self-service or the Power BI process that we talked about, we also have other processes. I'm not going to go detailed into this, but we have a data lake ingestion process. We have a traditional BI route also. If somebody wants to go follow the the Snowflake or the traditional route, so that process is also there.
And you drove a lot of adoption because of that.
That's correct. So the footprint that we have currently here, you can see we have a pretty significant Power BI footprint, and then we also have our SQL BI footprint here. So the Power BI components, you can see we have a little over 10,000 Power BI users today. We have close to 2,500 Power BI reports, which is on the Power BI service. We have 3 Power BI premium capacity nodes, the P1 capacity nodes, which is growing. So we're going to keep adding more probably. And then we have 1,000 Power BI Pro licenses today. We have 1 Power BI report server, which is the on-premise version of our Power BI. On the kind of the IaaS side, we have 4 data gateway servers. We have 22 SQL Server analysis services server. We have 2 team foundation services. So we do a lot of code check-in and check-out. So that is available through TFS. We are heavy on MDS. So master data services has really helped our customers at Cummins. So whoever was using like Excel, Access, and those databases or systems before, MDS came in heavy for them because MDS provides you support. Of course, we support this tool. And then we also provide them training on how to use it. They have version control. They have so many different capabilities with MDS. And then lastly, we have the SharePoint farm for self-service BI users. So we have 8 servers in our SharePoint farm.
Beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about the architecture.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. So one of the things that happened during those mid-years of late 2013 through 2017 was that we had so many self-service users hitting our transactional systems directly. That actually did impact several of our key systems we had. We had a database crashed, and then we had transactions that slowed to just a crawl. We threw hardware, at these systems, but at some point in time, you saw 10,000 users. At some point in time, these users are really outgrowing the technology and how fast we can actually increase our hardware. So one of the things we did in our strategic direction and what we started doing executing it was that we wanted to move the data to a platform where it can then service multiple variety of analytical needs. And so as part of that, we did move our data lake to Azure Data Lake Services. And as part of that, that's where we ingest our, sorry,
There's a microphone.
my mic.
Yeah, I think it's good.
That's where we ingest both internal and external data.
All right, so I think you need to just hold this. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so we ingest internal and external data. Now, the way we ingest our data is really more from a replication aspect, because that has little to no impact on our source systems, but we are able to get the data to our data lake in almost real-time manner. So we have what we call data as a service, and as part of this, we prepare that data, we get it available for people to consume. The ideal is that we move the data once. Many authorized people can access the data to leverage it in any way that they need. And so we're not quite there on the speed of ingestion, fully getting it ready, prepared, but we do get it in there within days, whereas when we did data warehousing, you guys mentioned before, you had to wait months before you got to your data. So now we're able to get it there within days to hours. We're working on getting it even faster. And then as we get that data there, we have our purpose-built environments, such as our data science labs that allow our data scientists to create algorithms, based on what the data's problems are trying to solve. And they even can feed that data to other downstream applications and answers to those application questions. We also have the analytical workbenches that allow people to go in and explore the data, understand the quality of the data. If you're like Cummins, we have a lot of variety of systems. They don't all look alike. They all don't work the same way. Different business processes lead to different data footprints. So you have to really spend some time understanding that data to match up what means the same thing. And so as part of that, too, they also identify what transformation rules need to be there. So a lot of people will use Power BI to prep their data, analyze their data, and understand what transformation rules are needed. Many of those things feed into our data marts. We do have on-prem data warehouses that we're actually in the process of modernizing into Azure. So that's our focus this year. But from an end-user perspective, we predominantly use Power BI to connect to our Azure environment. And then around that, we have the governance, especially the security around the data, and then, of course, the governance that we've been talking a little bit about, and then the support and monitoring of that.
So Khushbu is going to make it real fast. She's been waiting patiently.
I think this is working for me.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
So you want to press escape, and I think maybe you do Windows P to duplicate.
Yeah, I can do this.
Or Windows P. There we go. Duplicate. Perfect. Okay, so tell us a little bit what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Khushbu.
So as Sherry and Shakir have mentioned several times that, governance and, usage tracking is integral to having a successful and a robust self-service environment. You cannot compromise on that, right? So within Cummins, what we did was we decided to build an in-house utility that basically, crawls onto all the BI servers that we have, and it captures, key metrics for us. So say user-related information, server information, and database-related information. And this utility has been built using C#. We also use a little bit of PowerShell script also, to collect all these metrics. And all of these metrics are actually after, the C# code runs onto all the servers, it takes all that data and pushes it into the SQL tables. And then we pull that data into SSAS, which is SQL Server Analysis Services, build our KPIs on top of that data, And then finally, we use Power BI to do the dashboarding and reporting and have it exposed to our end users. So this dashboard is actually not just available to IT users because we want it to be a truly self-service type of environment. So it is actually available to all of our end users also, and they can go into this dashboard and see what exactly their users are doing. So I may be the environment owner, but then I may have 10 people who are using my environment. I want to see what exactly they're doing. Are they going to mess up my environment, or they're using it well, right? So I do want to be mindful of that. So this dashboard really helps with that. I won't go over like all of the metrics in interest of time, but then we do capture metrics such as total number of users, how many people are accessing our databases, number of hits we are getting on the database, how big the database size is, because that kind of helps us also, right, how exponentially our data is growing, or it's pretty consistent, whether we need to add more resources on the servers and so on and so forth.
Is this for Power BI?
Yes. This is actually for a traditional BI environment, but I'll get to the Power BI piece
got
also.
Got it.
So I'll just go over one of the usage tracking dashboards that we have. This is for SSAS, and excuse me, like Shakir and Sherry mentioned before, we have several business units, which basically are like product lines within Cummins. And if I want to say, okay, I want to see, how, the filtration business unit is doing, I can go click on this and see, okay, I see they have 163 models. Okay.
Well, that's the internet. It's not
Yeah.
you. It's
So
the gods of demo sometimes.
Yeah, it
We
worked
have
like
to
5
go
minutes
through,
back.
Somebody needs to paddle faster.
Yeah.
Come on.
So
But they all know how it's the same when their job. Everybody goes through that, so don't worry.
Yeah, so it will basically tell me, how many number of models do they have, how frequently are they refreshing their data sets, are they doing a good job, with keeping their data up to date or not. And I can also see all the list of the models that are actually, for, filtration business unit. We have something similar for SharePoint and SQL.
And you can see
also.
before, if something is not refreshed for a long time, you go back to them,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Are
we
you
do.
really
We
using
do.
that?
Yes, we do. So, and I'll get to those. So we do, take action also, based on what we see in this usage tracking dashboards. We send out, automated emails to our users saying, we see a lot of, old data sitting in your environment. Do you want us to, just get rid of it, or you're going to go ahead and, refresh it, or, you need to get back to us, otherwise we're going to consolidate it or purge the data for you. So we do that. And I would actually, for Power BI, after this new app was launched, Power BI Premium Capacity Metrics app was launched recently. We use this for Power BI usage tracking. However, there's a couple of metrics which are missing in this, and I hope that Microsoft goes ahead and integrates the Power BI audit log data, because that has a lot more information, and you can go down to the level of which user has created what report and how many reports have they created, and so on and so forth. So I hope they integrate the two, and that'll be wonderful. But
so we are telling Mark, right?
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
I was hinting. Yeah.
You're telling me.
Yeah. So like I said, this is the Power BI audit log data. It is basically in JSON format, and we then transform it within Power BI, and then we have built these metrics on top of that. This basically tells me how many workspaces do I have, what all reports are there in a certain workspace, what operations people are performing, how many people are actually data modelers, how many total number of users we have, and all of that information. And like I said, I can go down to the level of, user ID and say, okay, Sherry has created 500 reports, or Shakir has created 50 reports, and so on and so forth.
And just to add to this, this is also being provided to all the owners of those workspaces. Mm-hmm. So they have their own view of their workspaces.
Yeah. And if you look at this graph, this is interesting. This shows number of reports and usage over the year for Power BI. So it's really steep. Line. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so...
and then you have an email, right? That is automated, right?
Yes, I'm going to get
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. So,
and if you go in presentation mode, I think there you go. It should.
So, like Mark mentioned, we do send out email to our end users, asking either for taking action or that we are going to take an action because we are seeing some type of activity in their environment. And two of the examples are here. So one of them is basically saying, oh, we see this user is no longer with Cummins, it's an inactive ID. We have gone ahead and removed them from your environment because they don't need access anymore. The second one that you see over here is, basically for server utilization, and it says, oh, I see this box is being overutilized. It has reached 90% in terms of CPU utilization, 90% in terms of memory consumption, and we need to either add resources or we need to see what's going on the server. So we do send out, some of these emails. And this is another utility that we have built within Cummins. It's called Migration and Maintenance Utility. And this basically helps our self-service users with doing a lot of activities that they previously depended on IT for. So for example, taking database backups and restores, or moving their data models from dev to stage to production environment. So they can actually do all of that using this utility.
Anything else? So we're just wrapping it up. What is the key areas that you focus in the Center of Excellence?
Yeah, we have 4 areas right now that are 4 key areas in our Center of Excellence. We touched on a little bit around the governance. I won't cover any more of that. I also touched a little bit around the data and the preparation we do on the data. We do have a reporting dashboard development area. In this, there's a few things that happens. One is if you've got someone that's creating a dashboard or report that's going to be shared broadly, we have a set of standards so that people that are using, we call them enterprise solution, they have that same user experience, that same look and feel, the navigation. It's very important to keep consistency across that when you sharing with a big, broad audience. So we make sure that we connect with our end users, and they are business users as well as some are IT users, but there are majority are business users. And so we share that, and we make sure their design is set up right. We also make sure that the performance is tuned right. We want to make sure things go quickly. The largest area we have, which is my small team supports, is really in the training and support area. We do in-person training. We have computer-based training. We do remote training. We also have that support for that player coach, like Shaker mentioned. That's really important because you can teach someone how to use the tool. It takes time for them to really realize how does that apply to their specific job. So the player coach actually, after the business person takes the training, the player coach sits with them, talks with them about how they could actually apply it to their everyday job. So that really helps connect some dots there. We also serve as a more advanced help if people are trying to do some really more advanced, cool graphics or transformations that they're needing help with, and we serve as that. In Cummins, in closing, we've been on a BI journey. We've been doing BI for 20 years, if you don't count the first Excel being our BI tool. But we've been on our journey for 20 years. We're still continuing. As technologies come and go, it allows the business to really climb faster. And in today's world, you really have to be competitive, and the data is the key to that competitiveness. So we're on a journey. Probably most likely you guys are on similar journeys, but hopefully, something we've shared today can help you on theirs.
So thank you so much. So I know you have 3 miles to walk for lunch, so if you guys, people want to stay to have questions, feel free. I want to be respectful of the time because you have so much to walk. Feel free to come and ask some questions on the side. Thank you again. So you can come.